Are you tired of overpriced groceries and limited options at the supermarket? Because I know I am. Well, try Misfit Marketplace, where every box is packed with delicious organic produce at up to 40% off retail prices. That's right. You get your fresh fruits to colorful veggies. Misfit Marketplace delivers quality ingredients straight to your door. Visit misfitmarket.com and use code POD20, that is POD20, to get 20% off your first order, and tell them that Dr. T sent you. Eat well, save money, and join the Misfit movement today. On this week's episode, the Wolves said, hold on, we are not done yet. Bronny's big debut at the NBA Combine and Reggie Miller's subtle diss. We'll jump into that. And Tom Brady regrets getting cooked. All this and more. It's time for a win is a win. Let's go. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Yep, we are back here for another crazy week of these NBA playoffs. We're going to jump right into that here soon. But first and foremost, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. And don't forget to tell someone to tell somebody else to join a win is a win. And listen, I love it when you listen. I see you. I see the data. Okay, thank y'all. But listen, don't be afraid to subscribe. I know it's a commitment. I know it's like a relationship. You might be afraid to dive right into it, but listen, trust your gut. It's a good show, okay? Hit the subscribe button. I'll give you a few seconds. See, that wasn't so hard, and it didn't even cost you a thing. And don't forget, hit that bell somewhere on your listening device to get the necessary notifications so that you know when a new episode drops. Listen, the Minnesota Wolves, Timber Wolves, the Wolf Pack said, we are not done yet. Well, they just forced a game 7 against the reigning defending champs, the Denver Nuggets, with the absolute dominant 45-point blowout in game 6 on Thursday night. Talk about a comeback after dropping 3 games in a row. The Wolves bounced back in a huge way to force a game 7 in Denver to try to keep their playoff hopes alive. Now, you talk about scores. Let's take a look. Now, you had Jokic had 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists. Gordon had 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Murray had 10 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. Caldwell Pope, 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Now, let's jump over to the Wolves. Ant-Man had 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. McDaniels, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Conley, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block. And Reed, 10 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. You know, Murray said in a presser after the game about being guarded by Anthony Edwards. And, you know, he basically chalked it up to, well, I didn't see that he did much. It was just the fact that I got hurt with his elbow. And, you know, he went on to say, had that not happened, it alluding to it would be a different scenario. All right, cool. You guys are taking shots back and forth at each other subtly. I get it. It's all good for the sport. Now, on the Wolves end, here's my thing. And jump in the chat. Please drop your what you think, your opinion on this. You know, Cat, to me, he still seems off. You're gonna have to do way better than what you did this game going back to Denver, because your 10 points, even though the minutes were limited, that's not going to contribute to a winning factor. Now, don't get me wrong, your other teammates stepped up. It didn't all fall on the shoulders of Anthony Edwards this time, but you are going to have to show up. And you clearly see that you have more weight and more maneuverability than four-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, on Jokic. It's too much weight for him. So that's a good matchup. But you are going to have to contribute a lot more if um this series is gonna end in your favor in Denver. So we'll see exactly what happens there. Now listen, excitement does not stop there. The second round is so hot right now, and it's so many upsets. Now we look at the other games. Now you have the Knicks and the Mavericks are both leading their series 3-2 against the Pacers and the Thunders, respectively. Now they'll be looking to close things out this weekend, but if their opponents have anything to say about it, could be in for a couple of game sevens coming up here pretty soon. And I think that going back to um, Indiana and playing there with, let's see, how do they do this? You travel, I believe, one day, and then you have game day. Well, I don't think that's going to be a problem for the Knicks, given the fact that that was the scenario before, and they came back and they won. So now it's a matter of, do they still have gas in the tank with the players that are hurt to close it out? Or does Halliburton get his team together and or put the team on his back and say, no, we are not done. We're going back to the Garden. That should be interesting, along with the Mavs. You know, it's a unique dynamic when you look at Luka and Kyrie. Kyrie hasn't been playing to the level of um Kyrieism. I just made that up. Don't it's not in the dictionary, y'all. That we know him to play. Arguably he's off, and we, if you're watching the games, you can see that. But at the same time, you know, what Luca does is crazy work. It's crazy. He is no show of it. He's not dunking. He doesn't have, you know, the physique like some people would assume an NBA player should have. But he just subtly, like, he a flop, shoot the ball up, and somehow it goes in. And to his credit, he's been playing professional basketball, I believe, since he was 13. So he may have a different discipline that NBA players aren't used to having. Be that as it may, the Mavs are trying to close it out. You know, Jason Kidd is like, listen, I want to please listen. Let's get this over with. I am not trying to prolong this. Let's get back and let's get it done. So, you know, in that regard, we'll see exactly who can close it or force game seven. Either way, this weekend is going to be jam packed with some games. The Boston Celtics became the first team to secure their spot in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, you know, I put my band-aid on. You guys know I was a little hurt, but I am very proud of my Cleveland Cavaliers. And I do think that there was some, um, I can say, lightweight excuses from Allen not taking the injection to play. I do think that he just was checked out. I mean, if you ask me, he was checked out. He's already ready to go to Tulum or Fiji or wherever he's got his vacation booked. Mentally, he was already there. Be that as it may, I still say that the Cavaliers showed up. and showed out this year, getting to the semifinals when no one thought they would make it past the first round. So, you know, shout out to my Cleveland Cavaliers. They were ousted on Wednesday. Always, always, always next year. So that win propels the Celtics into the Eastern Conference Final for the sixth time in the last 8 years and marks their third consecutive trip. Now, the big question is, who will they face next? It's down to either the Knicks or the Pacers. Now, the action kicks off, I believe it's on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And, we are going to be all over that. We're going to be dropping special episodes to cover these conference finals. It is going to be crazy. Yes. So, I think, in the grand scheme of things, there's always this notion of, the West is more stacked than the East. And then you go back, 10, 20 years, and then it was the East that's stacked more than the West. It's going to shift. I mean, think about it. Nothing stays the same forever. But I will say this, that the Western Conference Finals right now and the Eastern Conference Finals right now, it's giving what we didn't expect. We didn't expect for the Knicks to be this far. We didn't expect for the Cavs to get that far. We didn't expect there to be a game 7 between the Wolves and Denver. People thought Denver was just going to coast through with no issues. And we see that's not it. Look at SGA balling for OKC. Side note, he needs some help, and Chet needs to be a bit more consistent. You are 7'35". I need you to block some and get some rebounds, sir. Thank you. And then you look at um the Mavs. It's like, guys, who's you some of what's happening. I mean, okay, let's go back to this. We thought that the Phoenix Suns were going to walk all over top of the Wolves, and they swept them right under the rug in 4. Danced all over Kevin Durant, Booker. So I think we're up for some exciting games. There are some things that were unexpected, as opposed to what we did expect. So, sit back and enjoy these games this weekend, because I believe we are going to have some upsets coming soon. All right. We're going to jump into some sports news next. Want to get started on your weight loss journey? We all do. Well, we know weight loss can be difficult, but medical advancements have created an absolute game changer. Yes, semaglutide is a once a week shot that can lower your A1C, curb your appetite, craving, slow digestion, and can help you feel full sooner and longer. How do you sign up? Go to DrT23.site. That is DRT23.site. Go ahead and click semaglutide, get signed up for your weight loss goals. It's that time. Yep, it's time for some sports news. Travis Kelce had some thoughts on um, Fox replacing Greg Olsen with Tom Brady. And he said, I love my guy, Greg Olsen. They kind of did him dirty over there at Fox. But I mean, it's Tom Brady. What can you do, right? Sometimes you just got to do your thing. And Greg does a effing tremendous job. He called our Super Bowl game, and he was effing fantastic doing that. Now, jump in the chat, give me your opinion about what Kelsey had to say regarding the switch. But I would have a question for Kels. Actually, it's Kels. Let me not mispronounce his name. Mr. Kels, would you have that same energy, that same notion on how they did RG3 for your brother. Just saying, sometimes, you know, you got to speak on things, but you also have to look at the other side of the coin. RG3 just got done the same way as Greg. So let's, be equal and fair sometimes in our thoughts. And by no means is he right or wrong, because it is his opinion. But in my opinion, I just think that, come on now, your brother just got his spot off of the exact same scenario. So let's keep the same energy if you're asked to speak on that. Um, Mr. Reggie Miller, during uh the Denver and Timberwolves game, had a lot to say, and people assume that he was subtly dissing LeBron. Now, here's what he said. He said, I'm an even bigger fan of Anthony Edwards after seeing that clip, which they showed during the game. We've got certain players that have veteran status that are on people's Mount Rushmore that are quick to deflect and blame. Now, Nick Wright, first things first, basically went in on Reggie, saying, we know it, quote unquote, was LeBron he's talking about. I think this is wildly unfair to LeBron. I also think it is incredibly cowardly by Reggie. Now, Reggie was on the Dan Patrick show, and obviously this subject was brought up. So let's take a listen to what Reggie had to say.
Speaking of the elephant in the room, here is Reggie during the game, last game, possibly taking a shot at LeBron James.
Oh, come on. We've got certain guys, veteran status in our game, that are on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore that like to deflect and point fingers at others. Here's a 22-year-old saying, this is on me. It's my fault.
Who are you taking a shot at?
I'm taking a shot in general. I'm trying to give credit and creed to a 20-year-old, 22-year-old, because I want to put myself in his shoes, right? And I remember when I was 21, 22, I don't know if I could have gotten in front of a camera with the world watching and said, this is on me. And I know a lot of people want to think and assume it's LeBron I'm taking shots at because, look, I've been in those locker rooms when certain veterans shy away from that. And it's quick to always pile on LeBron. If it was LeBron, I would have said LeBron James.
But you said current players Mount Rushmore, so you
just assume it's LeBron?
Well, who else is it going to be?
Well,
it could only be KD or Steph. Those are the only possible guys who could be on the current Mount Rushmore.
It's more so.
But you gave Ant-Man credit, which I'm fine with. You just brought in another portion when you said the current Mount Rushmore.
Well, I've seen a lot of guys deflect those criticisms when here's a 22-year-old stepping up, taking responsibility.
Now, I feel that there was a little bit of backpedaling in that response. Here's why. You're not answering what Dan Patrick is throwing at you. You're not picking up what he's laying down. He's saying that where you gave Ant-Man respect, you also threw out specifically current players in Mount Rushmore currently. So when you do process of elimination, we get those three. Now maybe there are some other people on other folks' Mount Rushmore. Maybe he has his own. We don't know. But you have to take responsibility for what you said. And even still, if you do, make it make sense. I think that was just a bunch of backpedaling. I think he said it. It got out there. He regrets saying it in some ways. And so this is like, okay, get the broom, get the mop out, let me clean it up. So jump in the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that Reggie Miller was taking shots at LeBron? Let me know what you think, because there's a lot of people who assume that he was. And then there's a lot of people who are saying, well, unless he says LeBron, it ain't. Okay, well, be that as it may, it was out there. He said it. And so that's that. Jump in the chat. Let me know what you got on that. Tom Brady says he would not do a roast ever again because of how it affected his kids. Um, let's take a listen.
I didn't like the way that it affected my kids. So it's the hardest part about like the bittersweet aspect of when you do something that you think is one way and then all of a sudden you realize I wouldn't do that again.
And there's another reason not to bet on Tom unretiring from these 2-hour joke fests. This comes after we learned his ex Gisele Bundchen feels hurt and upset in the wake of verbal jabs about her new man, martial arts instructor Joaquin Valencia.
The only thing dumber than you saying yes to this roast was when you said, "Hey babe, you should try jujitsu." I think that's gotta suck.
So, there are many clips, but as he said, he wouldn't do it again because of the effect that it had on his children. And listen, here's my take on this. Please, guys, jump down in the chat. Let me know what you think about this roast. If you didn't see it, it's on Netflix. There are clips on YouTube. Let me start here and I'll work my way down. For one, you had to agree to this roast and all things were a go. Okay, that was the first thing. The second thing is you were paid $25 million to get cooked and you agreed to it. And now that you're seeing how your ex-wife, who, now let me insert this was public knowledge. Okay, she was holding hands walking through public with this man where you had to take 10-12 days off when you were with the Buccaneers because you were distraught and felt disrespected and hurt, as rightfully you should when someone finds out publicly that you have been cheated on. So in my opinion, when I watched the roast, there wasn't anything that was said that wasn't already public knowledge. I think what happened is that your kids are now old enough to know exactly what is being said, and you didn't anticipate them circling and spinning the block and coming back to you like, hold on, wait, mom did what? Now they may have went and Googled it, they may have went and seen what happened, and maybe those are the things that you sheltered away from your children as you should. It's your household, and you all divorced in the manner in which you felt it was most comfortable for you and your family. But at the same time, you knew what you were getting into. And let's be clear, I believe wholeheartedly, even just from playing sports when I was in school, that there's a whole lot more roasting going on in that locker room, and you got a whole lot thicker skin than you are portraying. I think you put this out there because of what she said. I really don't think you care, Tom. I really don't. But I think that you are upset and you're putting it in the public because she said it hurt me. It's embarrassing to the same man that you signed her up for. Listen to me. Please, y'all. Get in the chat. Listen to me. You mean to tell me that you feel some kind of way and you apologize to the ex-wife that cheated on you and her jiu-jitsu instructor that you signed her up for? You are apologizing to them because people cooked her, not you. You're not the one who cheated, Tom. So knock it off already. I don't believe you. You need more people, in the words of Jay-Z. Speaking of Tom, continuing on with the things that he's been saying, well, since he is going to be calling the Dallas and the Cleveland Browns game, my Browns, he had a lot to say about Dak, and he wants to see if Dak can, quote unquote, finally come through the season. He said, quote, there they were the competition. They were the competition for a long time, excuse me. But in this new role, I know the Cowboys, how important they are to this network. Come on, Dak. Let's see if he can finally come through. That didn't just slip out because some people were alluding to, oh, that just slipped. No, Tom knows what he's doing. He says everything is calculated and it's for a reason. So therefore, he said what he said. And that's that. Now, y'all jump in the chat and tell me, do you think he slipped up and said it? Or do you think he said what he said? He didn't retract it. He was asked again and he said it again. So do you think that, listen, if somebody says something one time, all right. And then if they say if it slips, okay. But if you say it 2 and 3 times and you back it up and you're confirming what you said the first time, well, then he's standing on business. He meant what he said, and we'll see exactly how, his first go at it with calling a game. I mean, hey, he has his feelings about the Cowboys, and maybe there's some you know, built up animosity there because let's face it, it's the Cowboys. It's always some drama around the Cowboys. So, we'll see exactly what happens there. JJ Redick seems to be, along with Borrego and Sam Cassell, to be the front runners for the Lakers head coaching job. Some people feel that although JJ Redick is good, he has many podcasts, he's on different shows, he's an analyst. He's never coached in any facet. Pee Wee, AAU, high school, college, nothing. So some people think that his lack of experience is a reason why he's not the best candidate for the job. So let's take a look at what he said. He was on a Road Tripping podcast. Let's take a listen to this.
The coaching thing, Channing and RJ, I would guess that there's a part of you, and it's a very, very small part of me that misses playing, like actually playing basketball, right? There's a small part of me that misses shooting a basketball, or coming off a screen and shooting. But it's a small part of me. What I really miss is the juice. I miss the action. I miss the competition. I miss leadership. I miss being on a team, like in a locker room, like physically in a locker room after winning a road game. Like you miss that stuff. There is a high that you get as an athlete that goes beyond passing and shooting and dribbling. And Richard never took charges, taking a charge or dunking a basketball. There's a high you get. Playoffs.
So it seems that he wants to get back into that environment. And my question to you guys, drop your answers down in the chat. Do you actually think that this is the right move for JJ Redick? I mean, because for one, let's look at the Lakers organization and their tumultuous relationships with coaches. Okay. That's number one. Number two, he already has an established relationship with LeBron, but does that translate and does that transfer into coaching LeBron? That's the second thing. And the third thing is how much influence will LeBron have in JJ getting the job? So jump down in the chat. Let me know exactly what you think about that. I mean, I think he would be a good assistant coach and learning underneath someone who's more experienced. Look at Spo. I mean, look what he's done with the Heat, and he came from IT and audio visual, and look at the type of coach. So it's not impossible because everyone had to start from somewhere to coach. But I think in this regard, given the nature of the Lakers, the drama that surrounds it, and so on and so forth, I think that perhaps giving him a role underneath another person where he can learn from may be the best bet. And I believe he interviewed for Charlotte last month. Have to double check that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with JJ Redick. Listen, the Astros got caught cheating again, y'all. Again, listen. The starting pitcher, Blanco, was ejected for having the stickiest rosin that you could have on your glove. So the umpire became suspicious. Eric Bacchus became suspicious. And I mean, the meeting at the mound had to exceed about 10 minutes at best. Quite a while. And you can see Blanco trying to explain, motioning and looking at the glove as if to say, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Ain't nothing on here. But then you got the the motion for him to be ejected. And so Bacchus said that it was the stickiest stuff I felt on the glove since we've been doing this for a few years now. So some people may say, all right, Tiffany, cheating has been going on since whenever and however long in baseball. All right, cool. It don't make it right. And he was well within his scope to eject Blanco. So, do you think that the MLB is not governing or not governing their league because of all of the cheating that goes on? I mean, listen, this is a league that has the best contracts. These are the leagues that have some of the highest paid athletes. You really don't hear a lot of too much drama around baseball. I mean, look, we don't have no baseball players could easily join a soccer league drama like we have the NBA versus the NFL drama. We don't have any of that. It's America's pastime. I get it. But at the same time, do they need to crack down a bit more and change the rules around cheating? Because when you got sticky fly paper in your glove and this consistently happens and everyone says, oh, yeah, well, that just because, okay, well, then we need to perhaps the MLB, Players Association, needs to take a look at some rules and what type of fines are imposed or suspensions. Jump down in the chat. Let me know what you think about that. Bronny had his debut at the NBA Combine. And, a lot of people are saying he didn't belong there, given the fact that he was, not performing to what people perceived his highest capability when he was at USC. Well, here's the thing. I think some people either forgot or they don't care that the young man went into cardiac arrest and that his minutes were restricted because that's what the doctor ordered. And so when he came back, he's not going to play at his full potential. He's not going to play as if he never had a cardiac arrest. And you have to be very careful with that. We saw what happened to Damar Hamlin, commotio cordis. Those things, your life is far more serious than stats. Okay. So that being said, let's take a listen to what Bronny had to say regarding what people are saying about him.
Shrug it off and all the work that I've put in over this, I don't know how many years. I just feel like I need to believe in myself and everything. Like they haven't seen what I've been through or anything like that.
When you go into these interviews with these executives,
They know about your family, but what do you want them to know about you as a person? That I'm a genuine person. I've gotten a lot of lessons and stuff from my mom, my dad, but also just like putting that Bronny James narrative out there more is instead of just being LeBron James' son. I think that's really important for me.
And I think that was really important that we actually heard from Bronny himself and heard what his thoughts are. There's so many times that people are talking to LeBron or they're talking to Rich Paul and Clutch about Bronny, but you never hear from him. And so now that he's stepping up, he's trying to mature into one, a ball player, two, he hasn't even gotten into his man body yet, three, he has a nice basketball IQ, I would imagine, being LeBron's son, and he has a high basketball IQ. you know, it's very important that he creates his own narrative. He may or may not want to play with his father. We haven't heard from him, but we've heard what the media has said. We've heard what perhaps LeBron has mentioned. But what does Bronny want? So, do you think that it was good to hear from Bronny himself? Let me know down in the chat. Listen, I don't know if the NBA has it out for the Pistons, but check this out. No team had ever dropped from 1 to 5 in the history of the NBA draft lottery. It's now happened twice to the Pistons, 2 years in a row. I First of all, I really dislike how the NBA does their draft. I'll just put that out there. But now Atlanta has the first pick when Detroit had a far worse schedule. So, you have to look at that and say, what do you think is going to happen going forward as far as the draft goes? Are they going to make the necessary adjustments? Are they going to be more fair and impartial with the teams who should have, I think they should have the first pick, if you ask me. So, we'll see what happens. Jump down in the chat. Let me know what you think about the NBA draft, and we'll be right back. Are you searching for some new NFL gear? Well, go to drT23.site. That is DRT23.site. Click the NFL shop link there. Enter your code NFL30 to get 30% off of your purchase. Let's get back to the show. College Football U put out their list of most electrifying NC2A football players of all time. Let's run through the list. So at number 1, they have Reggie Bush. At number 2, they have Michael Vick. 3, Adrian Peterson. 4, Vince Young. 5, Charles Woodson. 6, Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel. 7, Lamar Jackson. 8, Devin Hester. 9, Tyrann Mathieu. And 10, Ted Ginn Jr. I mean, I agree with the list 99.999%. But my question is where's Peter Warrick? Where's Peter Warrick at? I mean, he should be on the list. No question. So let's do this. They have their top 10. In the chat, give me your top 10 of the most electrifying college football players of all time. Let's get our own list going. And before we close out this week's episode, I have this little sneak preview of a new segment. It's called Go On Now. Okay. And this is ridiculousness or athlete antics or something crazy. And this week, I am giving it to the NFL organization and Netflix. You mean to tell me that you want people to subscribe to Netflix so that we can watch football on Christmas? Come on now. Listen, The point of having football on Christmas or Thanksgiving is so that people can sit and watch on their network TV, local stations, ABC, NBC, or wherever it is going to be aired for everyone to enjoy. Now you've limited, now, okay, yeah, you've limited the ability for some people who are not even interested in even getting a subscription to a streaming service. Some people just don't like it, it's not their thing. To be able to watch football, moneymaker for both. The deal that had to have been signed for Netflix to do this, crazy. And the amount of money that Netflix stands to make from this, crazy. So come on. I just think that, now streaming services are taking over at an alarming rate to the point where you're not going to be able to watch regular TV in a minute. Your local news is going to have you're not going to be able to watch that. It's going to be on a streaming service. I just think sometimes we need to slow down, and maybe you put like a 30 for 30 is cool because you're telling a story. It's a doc. I get it, whatever that the new football documentary that they have going on Netflix, Apple TV, and all these different things are fine because those are documentaries, those are stories, those are mini movies. But now you're talking about putting live football on a streaming network that we have to pay for. And to that, I'm going to tell the NFL and Netflix, go on now with that. That's going to end it for this week's episode of A Win is a Win. Hey, listen, don't forget to take a few minutes and subscribe. I told you it's not going to cost you anything. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know when we have a new episode that drops. Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And I'll catch you next week.